It established for the first time in world history a new nation based on the first principles of rule of law, unalienable rights, limited government, the social compact, equality, and the right to alter or abolish oppressive government.
I'm Stephanie Keith.
And I am Tara Manjekovic. And we are unapologetically outspoken. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Motivation Manifestation Monday. And since tomorrow is July 4th and the backbone of our platform is all about being freedom-loving, patriotic women, Stephanie and I have decided to make today a very short podcast just to remind everyone about the importance of recognizing what the 4th of July is really all about. So in case you've forgotten your history, or maybe they don't even teach this stuff in schools anymore, I don't know, but here's a short history lesson. July 4th is the celebration of America's independence from Great Britain in 1776, when the British American colonies in America basically got tired of Britain's tyrannical rule, and the American Revolutionary War began in 1775. The colonists fought to be recognized as independent states separate from Britain, and this was essentially an uprising. It was a rebellion where delegates from the in Philadelphia, and even though the war lasted until 1783, the Declaration of Independence was officially adopted on July 4th, 1776. And the reason this is so important is that it marked the official date that the American colonies banded together to fight for their independence. So I want to read a short but powerful statement from the Constituting America website. And forgive my voice today. I don't know what's wrong, but I can't seem to catch my breath. So this quote says, "The importance of the Declaration of Independence can hardly be overstated. It established for the first time in world history a new nation based on the first principles of rule of law, unalienable rights, limited government, the social compact, equality, and the right to alter or abolish oppressive government. Contrary to the beliefs of some, the American Revolution was not fought for lower taxes or to protect slavery. In fact, the tea tax, which provoked the Boston Tea Party, actually lowered the price of tea, and many founding fathers were opposed to slavery. The second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence announces for the whole world to see our underlying motivation for the American Revolution. The phrase, 'We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness.'" But what has July 4th become? Every year we celebrate with fireworks and barbecues and parties, and for a lot of people, it's a holiday from work in the middle of the week. And there's sales at all the stores, and you can get a great deal on like a new lawnmower or some patio furniture. But are we truly celebrating what this nation was founded on, or are we just enjoying a day off and having a party? And I think a lot of people in America have forgotten what this holiday is truly about. The power of America lies with, quote, "we the people," not the government. It is spelled out very clearly that we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that if our government starts to deny or take away those rights, we, the people, have a right, and frankly, I believe we have a responsibility to abolish or alter that government and institute a new one. And this is what has gotten lost over the years. And we have allowed our government to slowly gain more and more and more control over us. We are not free people. Our government doesn't talk about this part of the Declaration of Independence when they give speeches on July 4th, because they highlight the parts about Juneteenth or Pride Month and focusing on equality in terms of promoting these false notions of race and gender. We're not actually celebrating the birth of our country or highlighting what it truly means, because if the government did, people would realize that we do have the power and that it's not supposed to be the government having the power. The 4th of July is not just about celebrating the birthday of America, yay. It's about the critical importance of American freedom and the fact that these freedoms were based on this concept of America being the first fucking independent country in the world. and having rights that we are not even allowed to exercise at this point.
Well, and don't you love it, Tara, how people have the right to talk shit about our government? And they do. They use these rights that you don't get in other countries to talk about how they're offended by the American flag or how they think that America is such an awful country. And it drives me crazy because it's like, then don't live here. Don't take these freedoms if you don't truly want them. Go somewhere else and see how you feel. Sorry, I had to just get that off my chest.
No, because you're absolutely right. And like, honestly, I'm curious to see what kind of bullshit speech we get from the White House tomorrow about democracy and freedom and the great strides that the Biden administration has made in promoting equality for all and how our economy is thriving. And it's only going to get better with Bidenomics. And
I have to hear Bidenomics. Like, they're going to say that word so many times, and I fucking hate it.
Yeah. That's I'm not even going to go into that because that's a whole other podcast. But Stephanie, I looked up last year's speech and I want to read part of it because the irony is so rich. Biden in his speech stated, "The laws are instituted among people to protect the vulnerable, to check those with power, and to guarantee the pursuit of justice. And to realize these promises require a principled patriotism, a patriotism that recognizes that no person, no party, no interest can take precedent over the American project, a project that says we're all in this together, and the ambitions of a few cannot be allowed to prevail over the aspirations of many." Stephanie, the fucking hypocrisy is real.
Right? I cannot believe that he said, check those with power.
Right.
When he has used his power to take in millions that we know of from his family's crazy, shady foreign business dealings with, people in China and Ukraine while he was vice president. And then he's talking about patriotism. I thought that he's the one that's like labeling patriots as domestic terrorists, like the mega MAGA threat. It's such a joke, and it doesn't even matter because I'm sure he plagiarized that just like he plagiarizes everything.
Yeah. And the real truth, like, this is the real truth. Our freedoms are being eroded every day. Our independence and autonomy are being taken away from us. And if that speech had been given by a leader who actually loved this country and wanted to see America thrive instead of a president who's part of an evil administration intent on destroying our freedoms and independence, it would be spot on because those words ring true. They were just said by someone who has no actual integrity, no honesty, and no belief in this country. And the only way that we can win this battle of good versus evil, which is how I see it. It is the good American people versus our evil government. And the only way we can win that battle in this country is to come together as patriotic Americans and take back our, quote, we the people power, not being separated by politics or divided by gender ideology or race or believing the government should take care of us and have control over our rights. Like, the only way we can accomplish this is by coming together as fucking Americans who want to mutually and unwaveringly stand for our independence and freedom, just like the American colonists did back in the 1700s. And I just don't think we have the balls as a country to do that anymore. We've allowed our government to create a nation of people that are too soft and too comfortable, and a lot of the time just too stupid and too naive, because that's been done purposefully. But I honestly hope that this podcast will inspire some of our listeners to think hard about like what we've actually lost in this country. And as we prepare to head into this holiday tomorrow, instead of just celebrating the day off with your friends and loved ones, which you should do, absolutely, but spend at least a couple of minutes remembering why we celebrate Independence Day in the first place.
Yeah, and share that with your kids too, because like you said, I'm sure there are schools out there that are not teaching this anymore. And I know I, for one, will be celebrating this holiday with a pool party and steaks on the grill, real meat, none of that lab grown shit. But in all seriousness, I really don't think I've ever been so grateful for freedom as I have post COVID. Because, it's just like anything else. Sometimes it takes losing something to realize how great it was. And I think that we've taken our freedom for granted. I know I had most of my life. And especially like our generation and younger that haven't ever had to fight in war or deal with the loss of freedom that previous generations faced as a whole. And now I think we're at a point where we're all getting a taste of losing our freedoms with these, insane policies that the Biden administration puts forth. And it makes me a lot more grateful for them and more willing to stand up for them. So I hope everyone else does the same.
Exactly, because frankly, that's what this episode is all about. It's like having the gratitude for living in a country that was founded on freedom and independence and remembering what that was all about and not taking it for granted. And then coming together to make sure that we don't lose more than we already have, because we have lost a lot. And if we, the people as a whole, don't unite and come together, we won't have these freedoms that we still have remaining. And instead of barbecuing like hamburgers and hot dogs and, as you said, Stephanie, a delicious steak, you'll be eating barbecued crickets cooked on an electric stove with a side of mealworms.
Oh God, that sounds awful. Speaking of that, what's your favorite meat for 4th of July? Are you going to be grilling?
Oh, steak, definitely.
Steak. Yeah, I like steak. I'm a burger girl. Like I love a good burger. So we might make some of those too.
It's
no
meat.
Bud Light though. We can't.
No.
You know what? I was at the store and there was like a full display of Bud Light, not one case missing from the display. So yeah, I'll be drinking probably my Trulies. I like those. Hopefully those aren't owned by Bud Light.
Mine will probably be paired with a nice bourbon. So
okay, that's like my husband. He loves his bourbon. I don't, but I can appreciate that. All right. Well, happy 4th of July, everyone. I hope that you celebrate your freedom, stay safe, and we'll see you back here for Weird Wednesday. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you get our latest episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you could, please rate and review the show. We are going to be reading every single review, and I would love it if you hopped over to Instagram at Unapologetically Outspoken and say hi. We want to see who's out there and start a conversation, plus get all of the topics that you want us to talk about next. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.